Traders, welcome back to the channel. We got a nice sick pump today for the boys. AMC's running exactly as planned. Of course, we do the daily rundown of the chart, where we see us going, how we predict tomorrow's price action might go. And if you look down below, I'm sure someone will tell you we've been spot on the money for the past few weeks. Now, I'm also going to run on a few trades that I like going into tomorrow and hopefully get a little bit of some education on why we took some trades today. Let's not waste any more time. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Let's get to it.
Oh, I keep that pro in the back with a hand on his lap. I'm going to collect for the show. That boy. All
right, so the first one we're looking at is going to be AMC. Of course, I'm going to run down the charts as quickly as possible, but I want to point out what happened this morning. You had a quick pump up, you came back down, and obviously you reclaimed VWAP, and the rest was history. But let's talk about what happened this morning in particular right here and the move down here. Now, I saw this on Twitter, and I also even saw this in Discord. And it's unfortunate that this is what people have been, I guess, trained to think that this is anytime your stock comes down, it's manipulation and it's short attacks. When in reality, that's just stupidity, and you shouldn't really say that. If you tell that to anyone that's semi-educated, you're probably going to rub the wrong way. Now, I get that you dropped, but a lot of stocks did end up dropping in that time frame, and then they moved back up throughout the day. And if you look at what happened, it was a 1, 2, 3 ABC correction. That's really beautiful and kind of what you expect. And also, if you see, you push up towards that weekly, were rejected back to the daily, and then reclaimed VWAP. That's essentially perfect price action, very easy to predict, and was really just a telltale sign that this was in fact a buy. So what I ended up doing was buying calls at that VWAP and then selling when we tested the weekly. We came back down. When we broke back above, I ended up buying more calls and then sold once we hit 34. And that's how I played this in particular trade today. Now, if you have questions or you think I'm lying, I recommend just asking down below in the comments, but that's what I did on AMC. Now, people are saying, well, Tyler, why don't you hold until tomorrow? Well, tomorrow's Friday, and I trade AMC a lot based on history and how you move with AMC. Now, with AMC, it's worth mentioning Fridays are typically slower days. We've had upside days on Fridays, but they're huge for IV crush. And what does that mean? So I want to explain this really simply. Now, if you look at where a majority of the calls and the puts are, typically you pin in between those prices. So in particular, let's say all the calls are at 33 and most of the puts are around 32. Right there. Most likely, the price of AMC will pin and stay in between these two ranges and typically end the week on that note, unless you're having some sort of gamma squeeze and there's a lot of options that are going to be expiring in the money. That's a key thing to notice, and that's why I highlight September 17th, and I also highlight mid-January of the coming year. Those are going to be really big days because there's a lot of calls that are already in the money that could really start pressing this stock up, and that's why I'm really excited about this, and that's why I really don't think you're queued to get a major pump right now. But you're seeing exactly what we talked about yesterday, right? All we really want to see to close this week is a close around the weekly level. That would have us more than excited and more than happy with the stock. And you're ultimately getting that push we talked about yesterday. We expected a slow grind, and then going into Friday, a slow grind, maybe on the downside, maybe a little bit to the upside. But we don't really expect a full breakout to the upside of this week. At least I don't. A key area I'm going to be watching for after we stay above this 32.5, if we do, is obviously going to be 37.5 to 38 flat. That's the next really big resistance, and I think we're on our way there. If you look, like I said, I think the bottom is in. You got to get that double bottom in this range. You came back down, and you're channeling and trending right above VWAP. I love what we're seeing. I still think you're bullish. Everything about the chart I do absolutely love. Now, I most likely, just so everyone knows, I'll have it post on Twitter. Link to my Twitters down below. I'll post the entry. I most likely enter calls going into the end of the day tomorrow if we remain above VWAP. If we remain below VWAP, I'll probably just sit back and watch going into Monday. But most likely, if we stay above VWAP, I enter some calls. That's just my personal play. I love AMC. I'm not freaking out. I think the chart's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so we also mentioned this yesterday, right? We said this was one of the best times to buy when you're at the bottom of this trend. And guess what? You had a bottom little push yesterday at the close, and you've seen nothing but upside today. Now you're reaching back to the top of that trend. There's a possibility we break out of this tomorrow and start trending sideways. It's also worth mentioning, I mentioned in the last video, that you could trend sideways for a little bit of time and then start getting that upward push. But ultimately, it looks like we're going to start trending a little bit out of this range sideways. And then I think we're going to start getting that major push back to the upside. Like I'm saying, end of August, beginning of September is when I really expect to see volume flowing back in and getting that push back to the $50 range. Now, I'm not calling for all-time highs. I don't see us pushing all-time highs yet, just based on the options that are out there. I don't think we have enough volume to get us pushed. If more comes in, that could change. But as of right now, I still see upside, but I don't see all-time high pressure pushing us there yet. I see that pressure as of right now only suitable for early January, mid-January. All right, so we're going to look at it's going to be Penn Gambling, Penn. If you like the hat that I have on, then you must know who Penn is. Penn Gambling is basically the head competitor to DraftKings, and news was released today that Canada has fully legalized a single bet sports betting. That's huge. And so you saw a massive spike on this earlier in the day. You bull flagged, it reclaimed weekly. I ended up getting calls around the weekly level at 72 flat going into next week. This thing is absolutely bullish. I think this thing could run all the way back up to 77.7, maybe a little bit higher to 78 flat. That's where I'm targeting. I think there's tons of upside, easy 100% gain for me personally going into this play on the option side of things. I'm extremely excited. Now, I want to clarify, I know I just said 100%, but I'm very positive in this play. I think you're very queued up, and Penn has been on a huge downtrend for the past few months. Local highs are 140, and you're at about halfway mark right now. You can't be anything but excited when it comes to this news because you're getting that bottoming out similar to AMC, kind of a double bottom going on there with a little bit of a wick. Tons of upside. I see volume flowing in. Earnings keep destroying. NFL season starting. I think this is an easy money bet. And then there's obviously the big news about Barstool Sports, which are owned by Penn National Gaming, possibly being a deal with the MLB for him being an announcer. That would absolutely blow this thing up. Huge marketing, free marketing. I absolutely love what I'm seeing. Penn Gaming, ticker symbol PENN. All right, the last thing I'm talking about is going to be SoFi, and I want to make it very clear that, I lose. It's 100% a fact. I do lose. Now, today I had some really great trades, but I need to highlight when I lose. It's a huge part to trading that I need to be okay with. So I want to talk about this. Now, a lot of people in the Discord, they've been playing this, and I haven't really been playing too much SoFi. You got to push up here. I like the chart. I thought it was really phenomenal. I figured they would beat on revenue, which they did, but their EPS was pretty bad, and I think that they just didn't get the earnings call that they really needed, and I ended up grabbing a few lottos. I mean, it wasn't a huge position comparative to Penn or AMC or anything like that. It was a small position, but it was still a loss. And I just want to address that you're going to lose, and I know I say this in some of my videos, but you're going to lose. But if you're taking calculated risk, like today, we had a really big winning day in the Discord, so I was okay taking a little bit of a gamble on the end of the day. Now, if I'm crunched and I'm, just getting a few wins and losses here and there, but I'm still making a net profit, then I'm probably not going to take as big as risk. And I mentioned everyone, this is a huge risk, but it's just important to know that it's okay to, take a big shot every once in a while. It's okay to lose. It's okay to follow your gut if you think a stock is going to do well on earnings sometimes and take that play, because sometimes those can pay out really big depending on how they play. Now, obviously, probably going to be one of those worthless calls that I have and lose about $1,000, $1,500. It is what it is. But I just wanted to be really clear that I'm not invincible. I'm not a wizard. I do lose plays, and I'm human, right? You're going to lose when it comes to the market, even when you feel good on some of these plays. Now, should I have taken this trade at the end of the day? Probably not with earnings. I would say that. When it comes to earning calls, the safest place is not touch them. That was kind of dumb on my part, but I was feeling good today. I was on a hot streak, and that's really just the gambler's fallacy. You're on a hot streak, you can't miss the next one. So I will say that, but I just wanted to be really transparent that I still like SoFi as a company, long-term, easily above a $20 stock. But as of right now, I did lose on the option, and I just wanted to be very clear with that. All right, so that's my review on the market. I do love Penn Gaming going into next week and going into tomorrow. I'm already in those positions, and I'm holding those right now. I think at 74, 75 strikes for next Friday. That's what I'm sitting in, and I'm up about 30, 40% as of right now. I anticipate it'll gap up in the morning, but we'll have to see how it plays out. AMC, I love what's going on. Slow grind, looking for entries at the end of the day, similar to how I traded it last week. I think you're on the come up. I think you're slowly grinding back up. I don't anticipate huge moves tomorrow, and if I do enter position any earlier, I will post that on Twitter first thing so everyone can see that. If you're interested just in AMC stock, I recommend following the Twitter down below. I'm posting there all the time about stocks that I like, stocks with potential, huge plays that I see, wins, losses, things like that. That's what you're interested in. And I'm also trolling 24/7. So like, subscribe, do what you got to do. See you tomorrow. Namaste.
So I came right back on them hoes. I got hypes on the train, hella ice in their veins for a price every